I was 19 when I took the job at the Shell station off Route 47. It paid better than the mall, and my manager promised I'd rarely work alone. That promise lasted exactly 2 weeks before Sarah called in sick, and I found myself covering the closing shift by myself. It was a Tuesday night in March, the kind where the cold seeps through the walls and settles in your bones. The fluorescent lights overhead hummed their constant electric song, and I'd been watching the clock since 9, counting down the minutes until midnight. Around 11:30, the bell above the door chimed. I looked up from my phone to see a man walk in, average height, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans. Nothing remarkable about him. He nodded at me and headed toward the back where we kept the coolers. I went back to scrolling, half watching him through the curved security mirror mounted in the corner. He seemed to be taking his time, just standing there in the beer aisle. 5 minutes passed, then 10. The store was completely empty except for the two of us. "Can I help you find something?" I called out, trying to sound friendly, but feeling that first flutter of unease in my chest. "No, I'm good," he said without turning around. Another 5 minutes crawled by. I could see him in the mirror, still standing in the same spot, not even pretending to look at products anymore. Just standing there, staring at the back wall. My palms started to sweat. I picked up my phone and texted my boyfriend. "Some guy acting weird at work. Been here 20 minutes just standing around." The 3 dots appeared immediately. "Want me to come by?" Before I could respond, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps coming toward the counter. I looked up and the man was walking down the main aisle, his hands in his hoodie pocket, his eyes locked on me. Something in his expression made my stomach drop. It was completely blank. No emotion, just staring. "Just this," he said, placing a single pack of gum on the counter. My hands shook as I scanned it. $2.49. He handed me exact change, his fingers cold when they brushed mine. Then he turned and walked toward the door. Relief washed over me as I heard the bell chime. I watched through the window as he got into a beat-up sedan and pulled away. I exhaled deeply, feeling foolish for being so scared. Just a weird customer. Happens all the time, right? I texted my boyfriend back. He left? I'm being paranoid. At 11:47, I started my closing duties. I did a sweep of the aisles to make sure no one was lingering before I started cashing out. That's when I noticed the bathroom door was closed. I hadn't seen anyone go in. "Hello?" I called out. "Store's closing in 15 minutes. No response. I knocked on the door. "Hello? Anyone in there?" Still nothing. I tried the handle. Locked. My heart started hammering again. Had someone snuck in while I wasn't paying attention? I thought about the guy in the hoodie. How long he'd been standing at the back of the store. I pulled out my phone to call the police, but then I heard it. A faint click. The bathroom lock turning. The door opened slowly, and the man in the gray hoodie stepped out. He'd never left. "We're closed," I said, my voice cracking. I backed toward the counter where I knew the panic button was hidden underneath. He didn't say anything. He just started walking toward me. Faster now, his hand reaching into his hoodie pocket. I turned and ran for the counter, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. My fingers found the panic button just as I felt his hand grab my shoulder from behind. Everything that happened next is fractured in my memory. Sharp pieces I can't quite fit together. His arm snaking around my waist. Me screaming and thrashing. My elbow connecting with something soft. The sound of his breath hot against my neck. His hand grabbing at my shirt. I remember the coffee pot on the warmer behind the counter. I remember reaching for it, without thinking. I remember the sound he made when the scalding liquid hit his face. He stumbled backward, screaming, his hands over his eyes. I didn't wait. I ran for the door, my keys still in my pocket, leaving him there in the store. I ran to my car and locked the doors, hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. The police arrived 4 minutes later. They found him still in the store, disoriented and burned, a hunting knife on the floor near the coffee stand. I never worked another night shift alone. Actually, I never worked another night shift at all. I'd been working at the Citgo on Maple Street for about 3 years when it happened. I'd seen it all: drunks, angry customers, people trying to pay with fake bills, teenagers stealing candy. I thought I'd developed a sixth sense for trouble. I thought I could handle anything. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock. The lunch rush had cleared out, and I was restocking cigarettes behind the counter, half listening to the radio playing classic rock. The bell chimed and I glanced up. An older man walked in, maybe 65, 70 years old, white hair, clean-shaven, wearing khaki pants and a blue polo shirt. He looked like somebody's grandfather, the kind who'd hand out butterscotch candies and tell stories about the war. "Afternoon," I said, giving him a friendly nod. He didn't respond, didn't even acknowledge I'd spoken. He just walked straight toward the counter with this strange, purposeful stride. Something about the way he moved made me straighten up, made my hands freeze on the cigarette carton I was holding. "Can I help you with?" I didn't get to finish the sentence. He reached the counter, and his arm came up fast, faster than I thought someone his age could move. His fist connected with my jaw, and the world exploded into white light and pain. I fell backward, hitting the cigarette display. Packs scattered everywhere. My vision blurred, and I tasted blood, warm and metallic. I heard myself make a sound, not quite a scream, more like a choked gasp of shock. I scrambled backward on the floor, my back hitting the wall, bringing my arms up to protect my face. He was coming around the counter. This was it. This was how I died. Beaten to death by someone's grandfather in a gas station on a Saturday afternoon. But he didn't come after me. Through my watery vision, I saw him turn and walk back toward the door. Just walk away. No explanation. No demands for money. No threats. He'd walked in, punched me in the face, and was leaving. I pulled myself up, my legs shaking, and watched through the window as he crossed the parking lot. He was moving slower now, one hand pressed against his chest. He made it about 20 feet from the door before he stopped. Just stopped walking. Then he fell. I stood there behind the counter, blood running from my split lip, watching as this man collapsed face first onto the concrete. For a few seconds, I couldn't process what I was seeing. Then my training kicked in and I grabbed the phone, dialing 911 with trembling fingers. 911, what's your emergency? A man just attacked me and now I think he's having a heart attack in the parking lot. I need an ambulance. I gave him the address, then grabbed the first aid kit and ran outside, every instinct screaming at me to stay away from him. But I couldn't just watch someone die. He was on his back when I reached him, his eyes wide open, staring at the sky. His mouth was moving, but no sound was coming out. His hand clutched at his chest, his face gray. I'd taken a CPR class 3 years ago and barely remembered any of it, but I dropped to my knees beside him anyway. "Sir, can you hear me? Ambulance is coming." "Sir." His eyes found mine. For just a second they focused, and I saw something in them that I'll never forget: confusion. Like he didn't know where he was or what had happened. Like he'd just woken up. Then the focus faded. His hands stopped clutching. His chest stopped rising. I started compressions, counting in my head, trying to remember the rhythm. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. My hands shook so badly, I didn't know if I was doing it right. His chest felt fragile under my palms, like I might break his ribs. The paramedics arrived 6 minutes later and took over. I stood back, my hands covered in sweat, my jaw throbbing, watching them work. They loaded him into the ambulance, and one of them looked at me, saw the blood on my face. You should get that looked at. The police came next. I gave them my statement, told them what happened. They took security footage. They asked me if I'd ever seen him before, if there had been any argument, anything that might explain it. I had no answers. One of the officers came back the next day while I was working. He told me the man died at the hospital. Massive heart attack. They'd looked into his background. Turns out he'd been diagnosed with a brain tumor 6 months earlier. It was possible, the doctor said, that the tumor had caused erratic behavior, aggression, personality changes. A brain tumor. He punched me in the face because he had a brain tumor. I still have trouble with customers who approach the counter too quickly. My hand goes automatically to my jaw, remembering the impact, remembering the sound. And sometimes I wonder if he knew what he was doing. If somewhere in that last moment when our eyes met, he understood what had happened and was sorry. I hope he didn't. I hope the confusion I saw was all there was, because the alternative, knowing what he'd done and not being able to stop it, that seems worse somehow. I'd been working the night shift at the BP station for 2 years when I met Bob. He was one of our regulars, came in 3, maybe 4 times a week, always around 10 or 11 at night. Always bought the same thing, a pack of Marlboro Reds, a Mountain Dew, and whatever hot dog had been sitting on a roller grill the longest. Bob was probably in his mid-50s, balding, with a beer gut that hung over his belt. He wore the same greasy work jacket every time I saw him, but he was friendly enough, always made small talk about the weather or whatever game was playing on the small TV I kept behind the counter. He told me once he worked maintenance at the industrial park off Highway 9. Divorced, lived alone, had a dog named Ranger. You be careful working these late shifts, he'd say every time he left. Lots of crazies out at night. I always laughed it off. I can handle myself, Bob. That's the thing about working nights at a gas station. You develop this false sense of security. You see the same faces so often that you start to feel like you know people. Like you're safe because they're familiar. The storm hit on a Thursday night in October. It came out of nowhere. One of those autumn thunderstorms that turns the sky green and makes you check your phone for tornado warnings. The rain came down so hard, I couldn't see the gas pumps from inside the store. Lightning flashed every few seconds, turning everything stark white. Business died completely. Nobody was driving in that weather. It was just me and the storm and the flickering fluorescent lights that dimmed every time thunder rolled overhead. Around 10:30, the door burst open and Bob practically fell inside, soaking wet. Water poured off him onto the linoleum. His hair plastered his head. His work jacket dark and dripping. Jesus, Bob, I said, grabbing the roll of paper towels from under the counter. You okay? He didn't answer right away. He stood there in the entrance, water pooling around his boots, breathing hard. His eyes had this wild look I'd never seen before, panicked, almost. I need to hide, he said. I stopped, paper towels halfway extended. What? I need to hide. Please. I did something really bad. I did something really, really bad. His voice was shaking, almost a whisper. They're gonna come looking. I need to hide. My stomach clenched. Bob, what are you talking about? What did you do? I can't, He looked over his shoulder at the storm outside, then back at me. Please, the back room. Can I just sit in the back room for a while? Just for a while. Every instinct, I had screamed this was wrong. But this was Bob. Bob who asked about my classes. Bob who once helped me carry in a delivery when the regular guy didn't show up. Bob who always said to be careful. Bob, if you're in trouble, maybe we should call. No. He practically shouted it, taking a step toward the counter. No police. Please, just let me sit in the back for an hour. That's all. 1 hour. Then I'll leave and you'll never see me again. My hand drifted toward my phone in my pocket. You're scaring me. His face crumpled. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. I didn't mean... He put his hands over his face, and I heard him sob. An actual sob, his shoulders shaking. Against my better judgment, I felt myself softening. Okay, Bob. You can sit in the back, but just for a little while. He looked up at me, his face streaked with rain and tears. Thank you so much. I led him to storage room and back. Just a cramped space with metal shelves stocked with cigarette cartons and motor oil. He sat down on a stack of paper towel boxes in the corner, drew his knees up, made himself small. I'm sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. I left him there and went back to the counter, my heart pounding. I pulled out my phone and stared at it. Should I call someone? But what would I say? My regular customer is hiding in my storage room because he did something bad? Maybe he'd hit someone's car in the parking lot and panicked. Maybe he'd gotten in a fight with his boss. Maybe... The door chimed. 2 guys came in mid-20s, wearing rain-soaked hoodies. They headed straight for the beer cooler. Normal customers. I forced myself to breathe normally, to act natural. They bought a 12-pack and left. The storm raged on. Lightning illuminated the parking lot in strobe light flashes. I kept glancing at the storage room door. 20 minutes passed, then 30. I thought about checking on Bob, but something kept me planted behind the counter. That look in his eyes. The way he'd said something really bad. At 11:15, I heard movement from the back. Footsteps. The storage room door opened and Bob emerged. But he looked different now. Calmer. His eyes had changed. They were focused, intense. He walked straight toward the counter. Feeling better? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't answer. He just kept coming. Faster now, his wet boots squeaking on the floor. He came around the counter before I could move. Bob, were you? His hand clamped over my mouth. His other arm wrapped around me, pinning my arms to my sides. He was stronger than he looked, stronger than I ever imagined. His breath was hot against my ear. You shouldn't have let me in, he whispered. You're too trusting, too nice. Don't you know? Don't you know what I did? I tried to scream, but his hand pressed harder. I tried to fight, but he had me locked against him. Terror flooded through me, pure and absolute. I killed her, he screamed suddenly right in my ear. I went to Michelle's house, and I killed her. And now I'm going to kill you too. Adrenaline exploded through my system. I bit down on his hand as hard as I could and tasted blood. He yelped and loosened his grip just enough. I drove my elbow backward into his gut and felt his breath whoosh out. Then I ran. I didn't head for the door. He was between me and the exit. I ran toward the bathroom, the only room with a lock. My fingers found a handle and I threw myself inside, slamming the door and turning the deadbolt. A second later, his body hit the door so hard the frame cracked. "Come out," he screamed. "Come out, come out, come out." The door shuddered with each impact. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? "He's trying to kill me." I sobbed into the phone. He said he killed someone, and now he's trying to kill me. BP station on Route 39. Please help me. The banging stopped suddenly. I heard his footsteps walking away, then the chime of the front door. Through the small bathroom window, I saw him run into the storm and disappear. The police arrived 8 minutes later. They found me still locked in the bathroom, still sobbing. They searched the store and the surrounding area, but Bob was gone. Then one of the officers got a call on his radio. His face went white. They'd found a body at a house on Millbrook Road. A woman named Michelle Carter, 49 years old, stabbed to death in her kitchen. Her ex-husband, Robert Bob Carter, was wanted for questioning. They caught him 2 days later trying to cross the state line. He confessed to everything, told them he'd gone to Michelle's house to talk. They'd argued about money, and he'd snapped, stabbed her 14 times, then drove around in the storm, panicking, until he ended up at my gas station. At the trial, his lawyer argued it was a crime of passion, that Bob had just lost control in the moment. But I testified about what happened to me, about how he'd hidden in my storage room, gotten calm, and then attacked me, about how he'd screamed that he was going to kill me too. The jury didn't buy the crime of passion defense. They gave him life without parole. I quit that job the day after they arrested him. I couldn't go back, couldn't walk past that storage room or stand behind that counter without feeling his arm around me, without hearing him scream. Sometimes I still think about those 2 years I knew Bob. How many nights I chatted with him, laughed at his jokes, thought he was just a harmless regular, a lonely divorced guy with a dog. How close I came to dying because I was too nice to someone I thought I knew. I started locking my car doors religiously after that night, every single time, even if I'm just running into the store for 2 minutes, even if I'm in the best neighborhood, especially then. It was a cool evening in September, around 7 o'clock, not even full dark yet. I'd stopped at a Shell station off the interstate to fill up on my way home from visiting my sister 2 states over. It was one of those newer places, well lit, cameras everywhere, the kind where you feel safe. I swiped my car at the pump and started filling up, scrolling through my phone while the numbers climbed on the display. The station was moderately busy. A couple other cars at the pumps, people going in and out of the convenience store. Normal. Safe. When the pump clicked off, I replaced the nozzle, got back in my car, and started the engine. I was about to pull out when I saw him. A man was walking between cars, moving in this odd way, not quite rushing, but purposeful. He was wearing a dark jacket and jeans, his hands in his pockets, his head down. Something about the way he moved made me pause, made me watch him in my rear-view mirror. He walked past 2 cars, then stopped at a silver Honda Civic 3 spaces behind me. He looked around quickly, left, right, then opened the back door and slipped inside, into the back seat. My heart stopped. The car he'd gotten into had a baby on board sticker in the window. I could see a car seat in the back. Someone's family car. And this man had just climbed into it. I sat there gripping my steering wheel, my mind racing. Maybe it was his car. Maybe he was retrieving something. But the way he'd looked around first, the way he'd moved, it was wrong. Everything about it was wrong. I pulled out my phone to call the police, but then the door to the convenience store opened and a woman walked out. Young, maybe 30, carrying a bag of snacks and a coffee. She clicked her key fob and the lights on the silver Honda blinked. "No," I whispered. No, no, no. She was walking toward her car, toward the car this stranger had just climbed into. She was looking at her phone, not paying attention, just walking casually across the parking lot. She had no idea. I did something I'd never done before. I laid on my horn. The woman looked up, startled. Other people in the parking lot turned to look at me. I didn't care. I threw my car into park, got out, and started waving my arms. "Don't get in your car," I shouted across the parking lot. She stopped, confused, looking at me like I was insane. The man in her back seat. I could see him now through the tinted window, a dark-shaped low behind the driver's seat. I ran toward her, conscious of everyone staring. "There's someone in your car. A man just got in your back seat." Her face went white. She took a step back from her car, her hand over her mouth. Other people started gathering now. A couple guys from the pump, a store employee. "What are you talking about?" one of the men asked. "I saw him," I said, pointing at the Honda. "He walked up and got in the back seat maybe 2 minutes ago. He's in there right now." The woman was shaking, her keys hanging from her trembling hand. One of the men, big guy, beard, wearing a trucker cap, stepped forward and approached the Honda cautiously. He cupped his hands against the window and looked inside. "Holy shit," he said. "She's right. Someone's in there." The back door suddenly flew open and the man burst out. He tried to run, but the bearded guy grabbed his jacket. They struggled for a moment before two other people jumped in to help hold him. Someone else was already on the phone with the police. "Let me go," the man was shouting. "I wasn't doing anything. Let me go." They wrestled him to ground and held him there until the police arrived 3 minutes later. While we waited, I looked at the woman. She was crying, her whole body shaking. "Thank you," she kept saying. "Oh my God, thank you." The police took all of our statements. The woman told them she'd only been in the store for maybe 5 minutes, had left her car unlocked because she'd be right back. The man they arrested had a record. Assault, attempted kidnapping from 8 years ago, just released from prison 6 months earlier. One of the officers walked me back to my car when they were done with my statement. He was an older guy, probably near retirement, with kind eyes. "You saved that woman's life tonight," he said. "You know that, right?" Whatever he was planning to do when she got in that car, he shook his head. "You saved her." After he left, I just sat in my car for a while, engine running, hands shaking. I kept thinking about how close it had been. If I'd pulled out 15 seconds earlier. If I'd been looking at my phone instead of my rear-view mirror. If I decided it wasn't my business and driven away. But the part that haunts me happened about a week later. I was at work when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello, are you the woman from the Shell station?" It was a male voice, rough and low. My blood went cold. "Who is this?" "I was there that night. I saw what happened. I wanted you to know something." He paused, and I could hear him breathing. "I was parked 2 spaces over from you. On the other side. I saw the whole thing. I don't understand. What do you—" After they took him away, I walked over to where your car had been. You'd already left. His voice dropped even lower. "And you know what I found? Your back door was unlocked. It must have not latched right when you got in. It was open just a crack." The room spun. I couldn't breathe. When you got out to help that woman, I closed it for you, pushed it until I heard it click. He was quiet for a moment. I wanted you to know, while you were watching him get in her car, he wasn't alone. I saw another guy. They came together. And while everyone was distracted by the one in her car, the second one went straight for yours. But you said... I stopped him, saw what he was doing and called out, made a scene. He ran off before you came back. Probably thought I was going to tell the cops about him. My legs gave out, and I sat down hard in my desk chair. Why didn't you tell the police? Because I'm not exactly someone the police want to talk to, if you know what I mean. But I couldn't just let it happen without warning you. He took a breath. You saved that woman. Figured you deserved to know someone saved you too. Wait. But he'd already hung up. I sat there in my office for an hour, just staring at my phone. Then I went out to the parking lot and checked my car. All 4 doors. Made sure they were locked. Checked the back seat. Empty. I've told this story to maybe 3 people. Most don't believe the phone call part. They think I imagined it or someone was messing with me. Maybe they're right. Maybe it was just some sick prank. But every single time I get in my car, I check the back seat. Every time I lock my doors, I pull each handle to make sure they actually latched. Every time I'm at a gas station, I watch the other cars, watch for people moving wrong. Because that night taught me something. There are people out there who wait and watch for the smallest opening. An unlocked door, a moment of distraction, a crack in your defenses. And if you're lucky, really lucky, someone's watching out for you too. But you can't count on being lucky. So I check my back seat every single time. And you should too.